Man, Kevin, what a Friday night it was. What a way to kick off week 0. Had some big rivalry matchups tonight and had some last night as well.
Yeah.
It was a crazy night, that's for sure.
Happy football season, everyone. Welcome back to another season of high school football and some great games across the state, across the region to get us all kicked off. Matter of fact, our season started last night. We had a few games last night. Westbrook Christian beat Coosa Christian 50-24, and then Susan Moore took care of business and beat West End 56-14. Those are just some of the early games that were on tap yesterday. Then tonight we had a number of interesting games. Arab under Coach Lee Osment, first year there at Arab, knocks off Boaz 28-21. Asheville beats Raglan 35-0. Etowah, for the second year in a row, knocks off Gadsden City 31-23. Collinsville takes care of business and just beats down Plainview 50-6. And then Lincoln upends Southside 26-20 in overtime.
I'm not even sure where to start. I mean, obviously, look at Gadsden City and Etowah as the main event of the week.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Last night, Westbrook Christian getting the win of Drew Knowles' first game over
Yeah.
Coosa and Rock Cate's first game as coach. So it was interesting if you look at it. Our two county matchups that were facing each other featured all four new head coaches. So that's a pretty neat aspect. I thought
New head coaches, and then we've got some players that moved around, and we were looking forward to seeing DeRicky Wright play at Gadsden City, and that just didn't happen. DeRicky is down with an injury, and he was out tonight. He was there on the sideline, but he was not dressed. So Gadsden City was down a SEC safety, and in some instances it showed because Etowah really hit and took advantage of Gadsden City's lack of really experience there in the secondary, and hit them with a couple bombs that set up some touchdowns.
And we got a couple people chiming in. Daniel Harper said, "How about the Etowah Blue Devils?" Very excited Etowah fan. And Jeremy Scott said, "Go Southside." Disappointing game, still just one game though. And then
That's
we also
have
an Asheville fan in here. Go Bulldogs!
Absolutely. I mean, a great win for Asheville, 35-0.
Tasha should be very excited about the Bulldogs picking
Heck
up that one.
Yeah, absolutely. There were some upsets tonight around the state, but then locally, some of these, which one of these would you say is an upset?
Oh, Arab. Yeah. Arab beating Boaz. There's, just to be completely straight up honest with you, there's no way I would have picked Arab to beat Boaz.
No, I wouldn't.
I didn't. I picked Boaz to win. I didn't even think about it.
Yeah.
Lee Osment is such a good coach. I mean, I know it's just one game, but that is just such an impressive win. I know Boaz is coming off losing Christian Collins, and I don't care who you are, that's a tough loss. You got to replace a lot of yards there. That is a heck of a win for Arab.
They very likely will put a bronze statue in the middle of Main Street in Arab tonight because of that win. Because that's a huge turnaround for a program that to be quite honest was struggling, and for them to come out and on the road beat a really good Boaz team. Boaz team that had a strong quarterback back.
Big offensive line, right?
Big offensive line. However, when you lose close to 3,000 yards and 42 touchdowns, and that's from three people, and one of those being Christian Collins, who is no longer in the backfield for Boaz. So, Boaz is back to the drawing board for Jeremy Sullivan and the Pirates. But, there again, big congratulations to Lee Osment and to Arab. That's a huge win tonight.
I mean, I don't know if we just want to dive on into the Gadsden City Etowah, but I'm going to say right now that win for Etowah tonight was more impressive than last year.
Yeah.
And the reason I say that is because Etowah put themselves in position to win last year. That third quarter depth really became an issue. Gadsden City took the lead last year. And then all Gadsden City had to do is run the clock out and they fumble, and Etowah takes advantage of it. Got to give them credit there.
Yeah.
This year, from start to finish, I know Gadsden City led at halftime. Etowah beat Gadsden City from start to finish. There was no, well, if Gadsden City just runs the clock out, you can't question it.
Yeah.
And if you look around the community, I know Kevin did pick Etowah. I picked Gadsden City. A lot of people were still picking Gadsden City to win. I did a little Twitter poll, and I think it's that stigma that, hey, Etowah's not supposed to be able to beat Gadsden City. They're 5A. Gadsden City is 3 high schools, and that was forever ago. People still talk about it. 3 high schools consolidated into one. They're not supposed to be able to do it.
No.
It's time to get over that, folks. 2 years in a row, and Etowah did it convincingly tonight.
Right.
The score may not show it, but it was Gadsden City scored late to make it look a little better.
Right.
But Etowah shows they deserve that game.
There's some key moments in tonight's game, but then too, you know, looking from the outside looking in, you know, Gadsden City had had every bit, not I wouldn't say momentum, but they had every reason to win the game tonight because they got beat last year at Etowah. So I mean, revenge obviously was one of those factors. Plenty of you know, reason to get ready for the game, but you know, like you said, Etowah really took it to them from the jump.
And you know, I don't want to say, you know, last year Etowah kind of started out a little slow. They might have got one first down on that first drive. Then Gadsden City punches them right in the mouth with a 65-yard touchdown pass.
Yeah.
Then Etowah has the punt again, and it took a pick six from Ollie Finch, who, by the way, had the game clinching interception the night to sell for Etowah, to get back into it last year.
Yeah.
And you know, if Etowah, you know, them winning that game, I watched those kids in pregame just out of curiosity. They were smiling. There was no intimidation whatsoever. And I'm not saying that was the factor last year. They knew they could win this game. Yeah. And a lot of people were thinking Gadsden City would win because there's no more Jamin Graham. There's no more Justin Harris. There's no more Emil Smith and the slew of all-state players they lost.
Right.
I mean, that defense was slashed in terms of who all they lost last year.
Yeah.
And I'll just say it, Etowah out physical Gadsden City, and there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it.
No, you hit the nail right on the head. I mean, Etowah tonight was obviously the more physical football team, and you would have never thought that when, you know, both teams warming up, and you and I talked about this while they were warming up, and you see, you know, well over 100 kids dressed out for Gadsden City, and then you see the 50 some odd over here for Etowah, and you're like, okay, I mean, the law of averages alone would say Gadsden City should win this ball game.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, the other thing too is execution, and really more so right here.
Yeah.
It's the willingness to want to win. Now, mind you, I'm not saying Gadsden City didn't want to win, but it just seemed like Etowah just wanted a little bit more.
Yeah, I think they had a chip on their shoulder. I mean, I know Gadsden City had the revenge factor, but I mean, I talked to a couple of kids afterwards. I was like, did y'all kind of feel like a little chip on their shoulder? Because they were still being counted out despite winning last year.
Yeah.
And they absolutely said, yeah, we saw people picking against us. And, you know, they wanted to show that they could do it, and they did.
Yeah.
I mean, hats off to them. It was a heck of a game. And I do want to say this before we move on. This game needs to continue.
It really does.
Once again, it was raining a little bit, and I was a bit concerned that maybe it wouldn't be as good of a crowd. It turned out, I mean, standing room only. You couldn't
really
even stand
was.
at the fence.
You couldn't.
I mean, this game needs to continue. It's important for both communities.
It really does.
It's just, and Etowah can compete with Gadsden City. They've shown that. They can more than compete with them. They can beat them.
Yeah.
I really hope this rivalry continues.
Yeah.
Beyond this year.
The contract ends, as you guys read in the Gadsden Times. I wrote about that, and I talked to both of the school system superintendents, and then just some of the fans and some of the alums on both ends. And they all agreed that this is good for this community. It's good for this county. And, you know, there's a lot more upside to this series to continue than there is a downside.
Right.
And I just, you know, if there's one game that needs to go ahead and be automatic on both of those schedules, it needs to be this series tonight.
Yeah, I agree 100%.
And I think game one is the perfect time to play it too.
Mm-hmm.
Really.
Mm-hmm. I want to give hats off to Coach John Holiday. He had those kids ready.
He did.
The offense looked good. They have so many dynamic players. Brady Troop, had a couple mistakes, but I mean, I thought Brady looked very, very good back there.
Mm-hmm.
And then obviously Trent Nunn's going to do their thing, and Ollie Finch is a dream for any quarterback to be able to throw a jump ball to.
Yeah.
And Brady was able to take advantage of that tonight. Just hats off to Etowah. In Gadsden City, it gets tough from here moving on forward.
Right.
Got to go to Oxford. That's a tough one.
Yeah.
I thought Gadsden City needed this one more than Etowah, quite frankly.
Yeah, and then I mean, you look at Gadsden City, and especially when Macon went down with whatever it was, I think may have been a leg injury. I don't know exactly what it was.
His left leg was all stuff, and he left the game on crutches in the second quarter.
So when he leaves, and then Jaden comes in, and kid just really I was really impressed with how well he played, but then also the fact that he was so in tune with that offense and what was going on. I mean, it didn't seem like Gadsden City really missed a beat.
Right. Yeah. It just the thing that really caught my eye about that game is that you thought numbers were going to play a factor, and it really didn't, because the pace of the game was in Etowah's favor.
No.
And not just when Etowah was on offense, is whenever Gadsden City was on offense, things were just kind of slow. And the more that happened, that time was just clicking off, seemed like faster and faster, and it just played in Etowah's favor. Lauren says she was very disappointed at Southside. She went there and she's very disappointed. I think Southside will be all right. They had a ton to replace. They're going to be just fine. You got to think, last year they started out 1-4, and then next thing you know, they're in the second round of the playoffs.
I'm about to say, Lauren, don't count out Southside. A lot of folks did the same thing that you're doing tonight, and they ended up going how deep in the playoffs last year?
Second round, if I'm not mistaken.
Right. So, last year we were sitting right here, and a little bit miffed that Lincoln beat Southside. So,
and remember, Lincoln won their region, and now they got beat in the first round, but I think they had a pretty good 7-3, 8-2 last year, something along those lines.
So. Yeah. So I mean, don't give up on the Panthers just yet.
It's early. It's early.
It's so
now
early.
They have a tough one next week when they have to travel to Hoax Bluff.
They sure do.
That's going to be a
Thursday night
fun ball game.
Yeah.
Patrick says, is the win over Gadsden City considered an upset? I say no. 7A team struggling to make playoffs versus a 5A team that's a powerhouse in the North every year.
No.
It's not, but it's going to be perceived that way.
Sure, because everybody kept telling me, that they thought I was crazy when I picked Etowah to win this game, and coming into the game that Gadsden City was a 2-touchdown favorite, and I was like, okay, wow, and that kind of surprised me. But I just, having seen Gadsden City and the challenges that they had coming into this season, and knowing also what Etowah had, something just seemed to me that Etowah would have the upper hand, but there again, it's just a tremendous series, as close as it was, 31-23, that's pretty close, folks. I got news for you. And it was, like you said, it was 1 point off from last year's.
Yeah, 32-23 was final last year. In that game, it looks closer than what it was. Gadsden City scored on like a 62-yard screen. I want to say with a few minutes left. Gadsden City then forces Etowah to a 3-and-out, and then 2 plays into that next drive, Gadsden City had 2 minutes to try to drive down the field, and Ollie gets the game-clinching interception. Yep. Greg says he was at the Boaz Arab game, and the Arab was very impressive in the passing game. Hashtag Lee Osmond effect.
Yes, yeah. If I'm not mistaken, Arab's quarterback was 13 of 18 for a couple hundred yards. He also rushed for almost 100 yards, and he had 4 touchdowns. That's a solid night. Obviously, when you're 13 of 18, that's and no interceptions and 4 touchdowns. Yeah, your quarterback rating just went sky high, and so there's some good athletes there at Arab. It's just they have to be mined, and I think if anybody when you've got a coach the caliber of Lee Osmond, he's going to find those gems and he's going to mine them, and he's coached them up. And so it's like there again, it's an impressive win for Arab.
Vicky says that Etowah carried the upper hand. Like we said, they were ready. And they were. You could see it in pregame.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Absolutely.
I talked to Nana Davis right before the start of the game, and he said, "Man, he said this is the game that I've been looking forward to for a while. These guys were looking forward to that game. Much like the kids at Gadsden City. I'm not saying they didn't either, but there again, it's just it's that want to. It's that and there again too, it's out executing. It's not. There were some mistakes in this ball game. Yes, there's going to be mistakes as far as too many penalties, turnovers. That's a given, especially the first game of the year. Those are coachable moments, but it's just it's that want to, and it's the execution. And I just Etowah out executed Gadsden City tonight.
I did. Don't want to overlook what happened last night. Westbrook with a big win over Coosa.
Wow.
Westbrook looks good. I mean, I know it was 50-24. They're pretty much about how much they outnumber them number-wise too, rosters.
Right.
That ends up playing a factor in this game for sure. Coosa hung in there with them for a quarter. It was only 7-0 after the first. Had about a 30 to 45 minute lightning delay last night. Then Westbrook put them on after that. Westbrook, I think they're going to be tough to deal with.
They are. They're a good football team, and they're one of those teams that we're probably going to see. I would say I think we'll easily see them in the second round of the playoffs.
Coach Strinos won't like me saying this probably, but they're 4-0 heading into the Ohatchee game.
Yeah, they really are.
I think they are.
Yeah.
And that's going to be a fun ball game. Let's looking way ahead, which is, I guess, what we do. But, I think Westbrook should be 4-0 heading into that Ohatchee game, and that's going to be a biggie.
Yep.
And then, Coosa showed that they could. Evan Delp and Dartavius Britton.
Wow.
Dartavius Britton does
tremendous
it all.
athletes. Yeah.
I mean, they're just athletes, and they can play. I think they're going to be all right moving forward. It's just that's a tough game for them. The numbers game is such a big difference there.
Yeah.
And there's just no hiding that one.
Yeah. Looking ahead to this upcoming week, on Thursday, Southside goes to Hoax Bluff, Cedar Bluff goes to Spring Garden, and then next Friday it's just a slew of ball games. Everybody gets started then. Gadsden City goes to Oxford, Etowah goes to Moody, San Rock's at Gadsden, Bramburn's at Glencoe, Sylvania's at Sardis, Pleasant Valley's at West End, Westbrook goes to Raglan, Coosa's at Appalachian, Columbia's at Albertville, Addison's at Piedmont, Cherokee County's at St. Clair County, Gunnersville goes to Boaz, and Crossville goes to Collinsville. And also a big shout out to Collinsville, open up the season 50-6, big win over Plainview, and also happy anniversary to Collinsville. This is the start of their 100th anniversary of high school football there in that county, and so they've got a lot of big things coming up over the course of the season at home. They're going to be honoring some of their former players, coaches, and so it should be a fun year at Collinsville. And they've got also, by the way, they got 4 All-State players coming back from last year's team. So this is a team that is about 30 some odd minutes right up the road from us. That's a team we need to watch out for.
Absolutely. Patrick says he's already making predictions for next week.
Wow.
Sylvania beats Sardis, he says.
Oh. I don't know, Patrick. I'm going to have to disagree with you. Sardis they have some weapons offensively, but I'm going to tell you right now, having seen Sardis practice, I'm really impressed with their defense more so than I am their offense, and I think that's going to carry them a good ways.
He also said, "Well, better come with it next week. They barely got the win over Moody last year." And I'm sure as a
That's
coach,
true.
same thing we said last year. You probably worry about that kind of
Letdown.
letdown game.
Yeah,
You do.
you do.
And I'm sure Coach Holiday and the rest of his staff
I'm not going to let that happen.
they'll make sure that don't happen. So
Yeah. Yep.
it's a full slate next week.
That's right.
We didn't have a whole lot this week, but it was still just as fun. That's for sure. Edward Gadsden City is always fun, and then you got Coosa and Westbrook, and Southside lost a close one to Lincoln, 26-20 in overtime, but I think they'll be all right. Lincoln's that's not like that's a cakewalk there, anyways.
No, it's not.
They won their region and they returned a whole lot of players from last year, so we'll really get it going next week.
Yeah, like I said, we got a bunch to come. The season has just begun, and for those of you who are looking for some other scores, right now, Hoover and Central Phoenix City are playing still. They were in a lightning delay over there in Montgomery, and Hoover was down 14-0 at the half, and they finally gotten on the scoreboard. So it's 14-7 there in the third quarter. So just stay in touch. Go to the GadsdenTimes.com. We'll have stories up tonight. We've got plenty of photo galleries, so check us out. Teddy?
I do want to say, Darnell just commented and say Gadsden City takes another loss next week versus Oxford. He put in parentheses, coaches, cough, cough. All right. Well, my thing is with Gadsden City, and I know people are very excited Ali Smith took over, and I'm just going to take up for, Ali Smith and the coaching staff there. Mm-hmm. They're playing the same schedule they played last year. You just flip home and away that they started out 0-6 with.
Yeah.
You got Dericki in, who did not play tonight. It's not going to be easy to turn this thing around.
No.
It's not happening overnight.
No.
I know fans may not be happy with some play calling, and if you lose, your fans never going to be happy with play calling. Yeah. But you got to call plays with what you got, and it's not going to be turned around in 1 week and even 1 year. Mm-hmm. This thing's going to take time. So just you got to be patient. That's just how it is, and that's just how I feel on that subject.
As Alabama coach Nick Saban says, it's a process. And that's what Gadsden City is looking at. This is a process, and it's going to take time. I know that Ali has kind of retooled his team, and there again, it's a process. The kids have to buy into what he is trying to achieve, and so once they do that and they're all on board, then good things are going to come.
And Gadsden City, in my opinion, just on talent from what they've had in the past to now, they just don't have as much as they are typically accustomed to.
No.
And at the end of the day, it's just tough, and it's going to take time. So just Lauren Leeds says roll tide. So
okay. There you
go. I guess it's never a bad time to throw in a roll tide.
Yeah, okay. Well, that right there tells me it's time to go. So, and by the way, college football season just right around the corner, folks. So I know
it's
everybody's.
Go time, folks.
It really is. It is go time. So, folks, we appreciate you coming on board and watching us tonight. Again, go to the GadsdenTimes.com and read about all the games that happened tonight. There'll also be gamers from last night's games on Thursday. And then join us here again right around 10:30 on Friday nights, and we will review the games around our area and maybe even touch on a few around the state. Our time is up. We thank you for yours.